Well, the local donut shop now knows what I want to order every time I walk in, so I think I'm going too often.
Well, hangovers don't just last all day now. They last 2 days.
Oh, they really do. What do you do when your landlord is like cute?
Well, I have a fresh new zit just in time for my hot date.
Gonna be a good one. Have such a good day. Hello, world, and welcome to Have Such a Good Day. I'm Sarah Land. This is Heather Frank.
I'm Heather.
And this is our podcast.
It is. It's ours.
It's ours and yours. It's
It
all
is
of
yours,
ours.
definitely.
For so many reasons. You might be listening. You might be watching the video version of the show. If you're a $5 or more patron of ours on Patreon, you will have a bonus topic at the end of the show because who wants to say goodbye to us when we could just keep talking?
And we get really real.
We get really
Don't you want to hear
real.
us be real?
It's like the real world.
It really is.
But it just, when two women are forced to be together forever and stop being polite.
Until eternity, we cannot stay apart. You know, it's really about us sharing the absurdity of our lives for your entertainment. And hopefully it's entertaining for you. If not, maybe you're weeping because maybe we make you sad. I don't know. But we hope that we're making you happy and that we're entertaining you.
The whole idea behind the show that Heather and I put together, if you might be finding us for the first time, everybody who's familiar with the show has heard the spiel before.
Yeah.
But we found the show idea cathartic. And as we went on with it, we realized that there are other people who sort of share this cathartic need the way that we do. And we've built a really cool community. And so we're going to keep at this beat.
We're almost at 20 episodes.
It's episode 19.
It's kind of incredible. I can't keep up.
Last week we could vote. Now we're just 19, which is like kind of a lame,
kind of a
age.
random.
Sorry for anybody who might be 19 years old out there, but like between 18 and 20, what are you even doing?
Those random
what a
ages.
throwaway
What do you do with
age.
those?
How sad for you.
Go karaoke it out. That's what I say. Actually, speaking of 19, we have 19 really stellar reviews on iTunes, and I love all the reviews, each and every one of them.
Thank you for leaving good reviews, by the way.
Really,
as silly as it sounds, it actually helps your rankings.
It really does,
and so that's why everybody's always asking for iTunes reviews. If you've got like a spare minute, we'd appreciate it.
Yeah, and 19 is kind of a measly number. I mean, we would really like to get up to 100 reviews, thousands of reviews. I don't know. Help us get there.
It's all relative, Heather. What if you had 19 elephants? That'd be like so many.
Your house would be full of elephants. And a dog and 2 cats.
I could probably fit one elephant right here in this room, and that's about it.
And its butt would crush you against the wall.
Oh, I really want an elephant.
I do too. A baby elephant.
Oh, we're an adult. They start as babies, they become adults.
Gosh.
I want one so bad.
Buddy, what a buddy. So
many fun baths.
I think you'd have to spray him off with the hose.
But that's fun.
You maybe fit in your shower if it was baby enough.
I don't know.
But you have to wash his butt. You have to lift his tail and clean him.
Well, I don't know. I think elephants might.
Maybe he would wash himself.
Yeah.
I mean, he has,
I don't know enough about washing an elephant.
Well, we need to do some research because if you're thinking about having one as a pet, I think you don't want to just dive in. I know how much you like to be impulsive about animal care.
True.
And, taking in.
I'm not sure that I am legally allowed to own an elephant in the U.S. I think I need to have some sort of a special zoo license.
Totally. That would actually be interesting to see what animals you could have pets. You could have as pets, but you would have to get some kind of license, some kind of wild animal.
Ferrets aren't even legal in California.
Yeah.
So anyway, to be determined what our next pet will be.
So I'd like to talk about our bonus topic for you $5 and above contributors to our show,
which is the topic that sort of when we say goodbye at the end of the show, there's more show to come for anybody who contributes $5 or more on Patreon. So
the lights get low and we get a little crazy.
So much candle.
Oh my God. It's just like, it gets pretty sensual up in here.
Luckily, it's very sensual. Not a lot of tears. I I don't think nobody shed a tear on the show just yet, but I think it'll happen.
Oh, no, it definitely will.
And maybe it's you, dear viewer and or listener. I don't know. We'll do our best.
Hey man,
to bring it out of you.
If you've shed a tear while listening or watching to our show, please. I mean, we would love to know if you have. If you want to come forward and tell us, because
I gave a talk a few years ago.
No judgment.
No, of course not. I cry all the time. I gave a talk a few years ago, and it was sort of a something. It was kind of career stuff, and it was personal, but it wasn't something that I was necessarily trying to get the waterworks out for.
Yeah.
And afterwards, somebody came up to me that had watched the talk and said, that was really touching, and it really brought tears to my eyes. Mm-hmm. And I was so I was so flattered, but also so surprised.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't even really what I was going for. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I feel so good about this. Like, I struck a nerve that I wasn't even necessarily thinking that I was gonna do.
The same thing happened to me when I think we did the same thing, the Creative Mornings, and people came up to me and they were like teary-eyed, and they were like, you just like changed the way I think about this thing. And it was just like, wow, if I could only do something like this every day to affect people. And maybe it's our podcast, maybe there's a deeper way that we can affect you, and you guys should let us know. Mm-hmm. Please tell us, email us at hi@havesuchagoodday.com.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I'm not a life coach, I probably need one, but I think in a way we're all kind of each other's life coaches.
Totally.
So the more that we can do
we
that,
are each other's.
Absolutely.
That's for sure.
Absolutely. And our growing community here is also part of that. And
totally.
It's it takes a village.
Yeah, and if you have a bad day, write us and say, maybe we can help you have a better day. We would like that. So this bonus topic is a little more fun, maybe a little less like sensual as the other ones.
No nudity. Sorry, guys.
If you were on an island and could only bring 3 things, what would you bring?
I actually like this.
It's kind of fun.
I like this question, and I'll save my answers for
you better
for the time when they are appropriate. But I always hate it because this is a question you hear, right? Mm-hmm. I hate it when you can only bring one thing, because that's just stupid. You'd bring the love of your life, or sunblock, or like water, or whatever. So if you have 3 things, it's like, okay, it's sort of creative. Like you've been granted 3 wishes. What do you choose?
Yeah, I mean, do you bring one food item and then the rest is like practical? I mean,
I don't know.
We will have to see. You will have to wait until the end of the show.
It is a deserted island. You only have 3 things. Hopefully you're trying to stay alive. So, keep that in mind, everybody.
And hopefully
we'll revisit this a little bit later.
That triggers some wanting for under $5 contributors to become $5 contributors, because you want to know what our answers are and you want to be part of the conversation. So, no pressure.
Indeed. For anybody real quick who's like, what are they talking about with all these tiers? Patreon.com/havesuchagoodday is where we sort of live and breathe, and where our community helps us make our show every week. And we have a variety of milestones and tiers. Check them out. Get to know them. Give us feedback on what we might want to do going forward. It is.
We're all ears.
We are the hive mind. I don't know what I'm doing with my hands right now, but it's a hive mind type of a thing. Oh man,
Hydra.
Heather, I don't know. Heather's like my next door neighbor now, so we live in the same neighborhood. I don't know how much you're doing the little lake.
Not as much as you.
Okay, well, I pretty much go every day.
Yeah.
Otis and I like to do our lap around, and the Tai Chi. The olds.
So cute.
Would
you ever join in on that?
Actually, yes.
I kind of want to.
I mean,
they seem so peaceful.
They seem very peaceful, and there's a good crew. They're out there pretty early, because I'm out there pretty early too, and it's one of the things I like the most about my little morning walk is going past the Tai Chi folks.
I know. You're up around 6:30.
I'm walking by 6:30.
I'm impressed, because I don't usually get out of bed till 7:30, but I probably could get out of bed sooner, because I go to bed early enough where it's like, I got enough sleep, just get up.
Well, what I like about it is
I love the early morning.
As long as the sun is up, which it is earlier now, because we're in standard time. But as long as the sun is up, like, I don't want to be out there walking around in the dark.
No.
you know, and the mornings are quite brisk.
Yeah, that'd be weird
these days. Yeah, I mean, it's like you might as well just walk around at 2 a.m. But the sun starts coming up at 6 now, and by 6:30, it's perfectly, you know, people are out. I mean, it's still a pretty sleepy neighborhood.
Yeah.
But Blue Bottle Coffee's open.
Oh, yeah. It's 7 a.m., right?
6:30.
Oh, really?
Monday through Friday.
Oh, that's awesome.
New little life hack.
I've been saving money and having coffee at home.
Yeah, I know. I need to do
Life
that
hack.
as well. The problem also, you know, I made a joke about the donut people knowing me, which is true. It's a great donut shop. I love them. And I'm not even eating donuts. I'm eating croissants. But I'm like, if you're like, morning, Sarah, the usual, I'm like, okay.
Like, I need to go. There's another donut shop on
Let's dial it
closer,
back.
Isn't there?
That's
pretty
donuts
close.
is pretty close. But and I mentioned Blue Bottle Coffee for anybody who's not familiar. It's a coffee chain that's very sort of high end, fancy, pour over.
I miss it.
The whole thing. Yeah. I'm like,
just
you
been
miss it.
trying
You're
to-
right here. But yes. But it's and it's not cheap. And it's a whole experience. It's you either want it or you don't. I want it. But those folks too, it's funny. It's like you move to a new neighborhood and, you know, I had never been there before and I've been there every day for 3 weeks in a row. And so they all know who I am too at this point.
I love that feeling,
Especially the
though.
morning crew, because it's all kind of the same folks. And the other day, one of the women who you know, working behind the counter, one of the baristas was like, let me guess, you like moved here recently. And I'm like, how'd you know? Just came out of the woodwork one day.
I mean, maybe you should try. There's a bunch of other coffee shops, which you've tried a few.
I've tried a few. I like a couple of them quite a bit. There's another one I don't like as much, but I won't call you out on the show. But I will talk about my very fun week, Heather.
Yeah, I really want to hear about it. I'm at the edge of my seat, literally.
I bet you are. So I this is sort of a, you know, just like a funny little anecdote about moving. As you know, Heather and I have moved recently, and we're settling into our new lives. And both
quite swimmingly,
both of us feeling really good about it. And one of the things that I needed to buy, because my old apartment had this like ridiculously large walk-in closet that had all these shelves, and it's like you didn't need a dresser. Everything could go in there. Everything, you know. And I mean, I have a decent amount of clothes, and like everything could fit in there. Well, my new apartment has more creative space and really needed a dresser.
Yeah.
So I got one this week.
So exciting.
And man, I know material things aren't supposed to, you know, make you, you know, happy or sad or whatever. But it's like every time I go around the corner in my bedroom, I'm like, I love it.
I know. See, it's great. I know. It's refreshing.
It makes you feel fresh.
Yeah, you're like a new person. You were just reborn.
Which is probably why people are shopaholics.
Yeah, I mean, I went through a period
because
where
it's like a
oh, it's an instant gratification.
Dopamine rush?
It's totally a dopamine.
You know.
I remember, I think for me, it's like a good pair of like tight jeans, like a good pair of denim.
Right.
I mean, and
Heather's like tight jeans. And I'm like, how about a dresser?
Yeah. I like my material things to be more sensual, Sarah.
Right. Well, you know, a dresser is where the tight jeans go inside.
That is very true.
Drawer number 4.
I think most of my denim would probably fit in all of your drawers, but I'd probably need like all of them to fit.
Really?
I have a lot of jeans. I got to show you next time you come over. It's not cool.
I mean, I have a lot of jeans too. And like, I would not be able to fit them.
I don't even want to say how many. I'm not even going to get into numbers, but I want to say that is like my favorite thing, where you try on a new pair and you feel so fabulous and you're like, I just have to have these. They make me feel like $1,000,000. The problem is after time, you know, they loosen up and they wear down. I mean, they're still in pretty good shape, but
there are some jeans that I've had. The jeans I've loved before. I'm actually in a love affair currently with some jeans that they're getting to their they're getting to the end of their life. I know. It's
which ones?
Oh, it's just this. I mean, I don't know. I'm not wearing them right now, but they just fit me in all the right ways. And they're just
then why don't you
cute.
just keep them?
Oh no, I'm keeping them, but it's like, especially when there's elastic.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you're like, you can just sort of tell from like, because when you put them on after washing them, and of course, when you have jeans with elastic, I don't know if everybody follows these rules, but you don't put them in the dryer, right? Because it'll like ruin the elastic, so it tends to, but even so, over time, the elastic will break down.
Sure.
And like there was this one pair of jeans that I could wear them for, a week or whatever without them stretching out weirdly. I mean, sure, you have to wash them if they don't seem clean.
Of course.
But now it's to the point where like a couple hours after, like they start out great, nice and tight. And then a couple hours later, it's like,
You're like, they lose their luster like everything does in life. But, I know somebody who, I won't mention any names, who never washes their jeans. Like literally like once every like 4 or 6 months or something.
I don't know who you're talking about, but I know this, and it's always a guy.
Yep.
And I've had this conversation before, and it has nothing to do with guys not washing things, because I know so many guys who are like crazy about washing stuff even more than me, but there's like a certain kind of jean that supposedly you're not supposed to wash, but it's like
you sweated so much that was like 100-degree day and you're wearing jeans. Like there's just no way.
And that you got hairy legs under there, and it's like, don't tell me it's not getting dirty. If that is your life choice, okay,
sure,
but like you gotta wash your jeans.
Don't sit on my couch.
You gotta wash everything.
Yeah,
you gotta wash your socks.
Just wash it in cold and then hang it to dry. It's not going to do much to it if you do that. It's not going to ruin it. That's the way to, anyway, enough about jeans. So I'm really excited. So I found a really cute little sliding scale acupuncture shop in our new neighborhood.
And for anybody who doesn't know sliding scale, what does that mean, Heather?
It's they have different rates depending on the time of the week and on your income and that kind of thing.
Yeah, the whole idea is to provide services for people with various abilities to, like if it's one flat fee that somebody can't pay, but they could really make use of acupuncture, then, be more inclusive.
Yeah. And like after 8 p.m. on Fridays, they have like special rates, and they have like certain days of the week where you can get like a deal. I really liked the vibe of the place. And I miss acupuncture. I've done it for many, many years, and so have you. And I kind of haven't done it for the last year. So I had my first session in a very long time, and it was really nice to get needled again. I have to say, like I get like a little nervous before, like my palms get sweaty, because this is a new person, like they're, putting needles in you. Yeah. And a lot of they're very, very thin needles. If you haven't gotten acupuncture before, it's not as scary as it seems. However, there's certain parts of the body that can be very sensitive. And mine, I think in general, most people will say that their feet and their hands are sensitive.
This is my...
That part.
It's like the bottom of the palm under the thumb. Oh my gosh, my whole body will go nuts.
Yeah, and I don't care about like the ears. Like you'll feel a prick, but it doesn't bother me. It's not a resonant pain, but like your feet, like in between your toes. Anyway, I really enjoyed it, and I feel like I got a lot out of it. You walk out of there and you feel like you're walking on clouds. It's very relaxing. It's set the tone. So
now,
I'm feeling pretty good this week.
And we don't have to go too into acupuncture for anybody who's like, ugh, acupuncture. But it's a wonderful thing, and as Heather mentioned, I've done it as well, mostly for insomnia, and was so helpful to me. Oh my gosh, because. You don't just want to take sleeping pills all the time, right? But
do, but you shouldn't.
Exactly. Yes. You don't want to get addicted to sleeping pills or anything worse. But were you on your back or your stomach?
I was on my back.
So I prefer to be on my stomach because that's the way I prefer to sleep.
Yeah.
It gives me more comfort.
I see.
However, with the acupuncture that I've always gotten, and I've gone to lots of different acupuncturists, it's like, no, all the stuff I need requires me to be on my back. So I feel a little bit exposed, and sometimes they'll put a blanket on you, which is kind of nice.
And they're very doting. They're like, are you comfortable? Are you warm enough? That kind of thing. And they always have blankets.
Elevate your feet a little.
Yeah. And I actually should have asked, because I like when they put a little eye thing on me, so it's like darker. But yeah, I liked it a lot. I'm actually going to go back next week. I'm going to do it every week for a month or so. And I actually got some Chinese herbs that are, nice. I love new herbs. Like I just get so geeked out. Like I've always been kind of geeky about like my supplements, and I do a lot of research, and you know, because and Chinese herbs in particular are fascinating because they're quite strong. Yeah. And I didn't get the powder form. I got like the pill form, but I just started taking them yesterday. I'm pretty excited.
Good for
I'll report
you.
back. I'm going to turn into like some like Wonder Woman or something. Well, so watch out.
We should be so lucky. Moving on to some stuff that probably affects a lot of us. For anybody who's a user of Instagram, the company has already said that it would do this, so it's not some huge surprise, but it is finally rolling out the ability to monitor your usage on the app more. So, for example, I'm an iOS user, but the Android app as well would allow you to, you know, get sort of weekly updates on how much time you spend on the app. And I think for a lot of folks, Apple now provides this on an iPhone in general, if you opt in. And certain other YouTube and who else am I thinking of? There's another service that, I don't know, I'll think of it in a second, that do the same thing. The idea is that the companies are not necessarily saying, well, Sarah, don't spend so much time on Instagram, because of course they want you to be on Instagram.
Sure, of course.
You know, you're seeing ads. Yeah. It's like, it's a, you know, for-profit business. But it's a goodwill measure because there's such a conversation right now about people being too obsessive with social media. You know, I've pulled back from Twitter. Well, I'm still reading Twitter a lot, but I'm not posting as much because there's so much of this sort of narrative about it being just sort of a toxic environment. It's like it kind of poisons the well a little bit.
Yeah, totally.
Instagram is one of those networks that it's arguably the first thing I open in the morning now. Didn't used to be. But there's so much activity there. Yeah. And it's, you know, with Instagram stories, which you're pretty active with, and there's a lot more of that like immediacy going on that I think a lot of folks would be surprised to know, holy shit, I spent 8 hours on Instagram this week. 8 hours?
That's like a long time.
Like a whole night's sleep?
That's insane.
Like, oh my gosh. Like, no wonder I'm so tired. You know, that sort of thing. This is not just, it's not just Instagram saying, well, people shouldn't be on the network as much. It's more of like this is something that we're going to help you do. We're also going to help you snooze notifications, right? So much as you might do with your, your smartphone, and whatever OS you're using on that smartphone, it's a way to be able to kind of control the influx of information that we're also used to getting. So I guess it got me thinking about the idea that a company, should a company have a moral responsibility to provide services like this? Because if you don't care, or you want to be on Instagram 100 hours a week, I mean, no one's stopping you. Like, it's not illegal. But if you want that information and you don't really have the tools to do so yourself, and the company can provide that, is that the right thing for the company to do?
I mean, I like the idea that it's an option, so you can turn it on or off. If it bothers you that, like, okay, this is a moral thing I don't think a company should be, you know, dealing with, then you can turn it off and not even deal with it.
Right.
I think giving that option makes me feel better about it, because I like options. And, you know, if you feel really strongly about it, you can opt out. But I think it is a little weird. It's an interesting territory.
It's a funny, it's almost as if the companies feel obligated to do this because, again, the media climate right now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because no company is going to be like, we think that you should limit your time on our app.
No, definitely not. No.
So that's not where this is coming from.
I think it's the climate for sure.
Yeah, it's more of is this the right thing to do, and how do we message this to our user base so that we don't seem like we're just some, you know, silly company, you know, providing a service that's hollow.
Because they probably like fast forward the movie and go, oh, we're gonna get some grief about this. Let's preemptively, like, you know, set this whole, you know, thing up in advance so that people start, you know, kind of, I don't know, wrapping their heads around it. I'm into it. I mean, I like to have the option to see, you know, to track myself. You know, it's funny. I just a couple days ago, I was at yoga and it was right before class started. So like people were like just, you know, putting their stuff down and everyone was getting ready to go. And, I was like, I got like a ping on my phone. I had my ringer off, but I was like kind of in the corner about to put it in my bag. And I was like checking something and the teacher comes up to me and goes, you know, do you mind just putting your phone away? It's a no phone zone or something. And it was funny. She was so nice about it, but it was like, I felt really bad because I don't normally do that. And I totally respect the space and everything. But at the same time, it is a weird knee-jerk reaction because I notice sometimes I'm not even aware I'm on my phone. Yeah. You know, like even I'm on the couch at night and I'm, you know, hanging out, watching something. And I'll be like, whoa, like stop looking at your phone. And I'm like, you know, looking if someone played me at Words with Friends or whatever it is. Sometimes I have to put it across the room to like not be so tempted. It's just like a weird addiction. I don't like that feeling.
I have a friend who, it's funny, and she's not the only one who, she and her husband now, they have a put the phone outside of the bedroom thing. Yeah. Like, you know, it's like we go into the bedroom. There's no TV. There's no internet.
Yeah.
You know, maybe there's a book or maybe we just go to sleep.
I respect that.
It's a place of calm and serenity.
In fact, I would probably do that.
Yeah.
But I use my phone as an alarm.
So do I. And that's also, I'm pretty good about that. Like, when I'm finally ready to go to bed, my phone's with me and I might look at a little something before I go to bed. But like, I'm not laying in there like scrolling through anything.
Me neither.
It's more of like, if I get a text and I don't know, it's early or late or whatever, I might look at it or I might look to...
I might be reading an article on Medium, like in bed with like the low light. Like I do that a lot.
Sure.
Like catch up on some of my reading.
Right. But it's not sustained time.
I'm not checking email. Hell no. Because the problem with checking emails, you see something that kind of...
It's an action
riles
item.
you up, you know, and you're like,
or there's something where you're like, I'll just do that really quick.
No,
Because like...
that is a bad move.
Yeah.
All bad.
I was actually in bed last night and it's funny, my landlord was here and when he left, he was like...
Your cute landlord?
Yeah, he is cute. And he, when he left out of the front door, like... he can't lock the door. Like I have to lock it after him. Yeah. And he was like, don't forget, you know, lock your door. And I'm like, thank you. Okay, bye. And then I did forget because it's like down a flight of stairs. And I went to bed and I'm laying in there and I'm like,
I hate that.
Like I'm just so comfortable. And it's sort of like, I probably won't get robbed. Like, can we just chance it? And I was like, no, get up. Lock the door.
That is actually the worst because I'll get in bed and sometimes instantaneously my cats will settle in on either side of me and I'm like trapped. And like, then I'll be like, oh, I kind of need to pee or I need to get a glass of water or something. But I'll be like, I'm not going to do it. Because you rile them up and it's like, they're done. Like they're just going to be up.
Right.
You know?
And
it's not worth it.
In this case, I was like, Sarah... there's no amount of laziness.
Yeah, you got to lock your door.
Too lazy to have you just be like, I'll probably be fine.
Yeah, no.
Lock the door.
You'll probably have a nightmare about
and you know what? I'm sure nobody was going to come into my house last night and it would have been fine, but I would have slept worse.
Yep.
Because it would have like turned into like a weird dream about like the thief who killed me because I didn't lock my door.
Who robbed your ham and cheese croissant or something like that.
Anyway.
Well, you know, it's funny. So I've had a crazy busy week this week and it's been like all hustling. It's been like, but like fun hustling, you know, like I've been on the phone a lot with people who, I don't know, just like old colleagues that are like, what are you up to? Hey, you should talk to this friend, you know, so I'm like making lunch dates and I'm, you know,
you're out there.
I am. Yeah. I am.
You're wheeling and dealing.
I really am. I'm actually tomorrow. I don't know if I told you this. I'm meeting this guy who he's a legit like screenwriter. And I met him at my garage sale. This is actually kind of a funny story.
Is this a date or no?
No, not a date.
I actually don't know the story.
No, I'm surprised I haven't told you.
Heather's springing it on me. Okay, all right.
Yeah, I like to.
You met him at your garage sale.
I like to hold things back from you sometimes, Sarah.
Well, that's fine. I can't know everything, but I'll do my best to keep up. So, But this is okay. So it's not a date. It's more of it's a networking.
So
thing.
he sent me. He has a horror film script.
Oh,
this is perfect.
Speaking your language.
Yeah. And he wanted me to. He saw that I worked at Lionsgate because he saw I was selling a La La Land framed poster at the garage sale.
When did you even have that?
I don't even know. It's like it's all gone anyway. So it never happened. So I liked him. He had a great vibe. He was really cool. Anyway, so I'm going to meet him tomorrow. We're going to talk about the script. That's one of the many projects I have going on. I actually signed up for the Amazon Mechanical Turk, and I know it's been around for a while, but man, that thing trips me out. I scrolled through a little bit because I'm going to do some stuff because I'm actually really curious. And of course I scrolled. So there's all kinds of little menial tasks for humans to do for a very small amount of money. In fact, a lot of these tasks are like 1 cent. I, of course, scrolled to see what is the highest rate, the highest monetary level. And the highest was about $30 for like an hour or something.
Now, and just again, walk us back a tiny bit. Like, what is this?
So Mechanical Turk is basically it's like a dumping ground for like menial tasks that like robots can't really do very well, but you would think that a robot could just do it because it's like these really small kind of techie online tasks. Like for example, matching photographs, how you do when you're like, are you a robot? No, I'm not a robot. Here are the traffic lights, or finding a certain image online or that kind of thing. Doing some research. There's all kinds of weird stuff. But there was one that was about $30 an hour and it was doing some research, writing something. I find it fascinating. I find it very futuristic because it's like we're going back on ourselves. It's like we're advancing our technology. We're evolving technologically very rapidly. But like this is like, well, wait, okay, these robots, we kind of need humans still. Like it's almost like laughable because everyone's like, oh, all of our jobs are going to be taken by robots. Well, no, but you still kind of need us, So I just think it's kind of neat.
We talk about that on DTNS, one of the other podcasts I do all the time, because there are constant stories about advancements in AI and machine learning, but also sort of like, overall prevailing fear that, that's the end of us. Yeah. Like all the humans, what are the humans going to do? And I think that there are a lot of different ways you can look at it, but the sunny way to look at it is think of all the things that humans do and we all hate it.
Yeah.
And it's busy work and it's paper pushing, or it's whatever you want to call it. It's like, it's not fun stuff, but someone's got to do it, right?
Totally.
And if that someone ends up being no human, what does that free up humans to, create in the future?
Totally.
It doesn't mean that we all just sit around like now we're jobless. It means maybe we're freed up to be better versions of ourselves.
Absolutely. I love that. That's well put, Sarah.
Thank you.
And it's funny that this whole thing, like, I'm really inspired by this. There's a whole thing going on right now. It's all over the place. I mean, I feel like I'm coming across it a lot. This sort of like side hustle thing. A lot of people are getting a bunch of odd jobs together. They're, driving Uber, and then they've got their little crafts that they sell on Etsy. And, the internet has made it a wonderful place for you to like sell your things and be creative.
We went to that swap meet over the weekend.
And that inspired me too, because I talked to that one woman who was making she made these woven, where you can hang a plant.
Kind of like dream catchers, but like with, I don't
know.
It
was basically like a little sort of ropes that would hold onto a pot and a plant, but they're like kind of decorative. They're really cute. And she makes a business out of it. And that really inspires me because I have a family who, my mom used to go to Japan when I was a kid and get like a huge, truckload of kimonos. And on Saturday she'd have, she put signs around the neighborhood selling kimonos, and there would be all these gay men in my house, looking for kimonos and buying kimonos for $10 each or whatever it was.
Sure.
My mom was always so like resourceful in that way. And I think I'm kind of similar. Like if I were to, have any kind of lifestyle that I want, if I could choose, I would have 18 different side things. Like I'd be selling my art, doing our podcast, doing some Mechanical Turk on the side, I guess, for 1 cent a minute.
Driving an Uber.
I don't want to do that. That's what I want to
Lyft.
avoid not doing. I don't love driving, so I'd rather not do that. But a couple of things I've done this week that have been kind of interesting. I get reached out sometimes from these consulting agencies, and companies reach out to them they want to find experts in a certain field to answer some questions that only an expert who has experience working in, particular, at particular companies, industries, that kind of thing. And I got 2 calls this week. So I've had two actual hour-long calls. They pay you pretty well. Because, you're at an expert level, so you can actually speak to weird, things that are happening in the industry, how things are evolving. And both of them, totally separate companies, asked about the same thing, which I thought was fascinating. I really don't think they were connected at all. They're completely different companies in different cities. And they all have their own rules. You have to go through a whole process where you have to read all their legalese, and you have to go through everything and sign stuff. And super fascinating. I like doing this kind of stuff because I like to kind of be like, okay, well, cool. So I can help, I can help with the knowledge and the experience that I have. And so I had 2 phone calls this week, and they're both really interested in what is Facebook doing behind the scenes with video. Really interested. They're really interested in the next few years and over the top OTT, content, and what kind of budgets are, Netflix, or what are they spending? Stuff like that, where it's they both had a very similar, they had similar questions, which I thought was really interesting. I feel like everybody is really wondering about this right now. Where is Netflix going to still be spending money hand over fist to make all kinds of content? Are they going to go bankrupt? I mean, who knows? It's a fun conversation to have. Anyway, so I'm kind of all right, I will throw in some phone consultations into my mix, and I'm going to make some millions.
Sounds good, Heather. No, it does. Yeah. I don't know. I'll keep you posted. Keep us posted, particularly on the Mechanical Turk.
I know.
Keep us posted on the Turk.
It's such a weird name.
Doing Mechanical it for the Turk. Yeah, it's this thing so that you don't hear about all that often.
No, you don't.
But it's certainly a thing that cumulatively is worth people's while. It depends on the person, of course, but what might be worth your while would be to become a patron of this fine program of ours. Heather and I can't do it without you.
No, certainly
as
not.
much as we would like to say we will do this forever with Otis, of course, in the background. You can't really see him. He's
trying to stuff himself into a cat-sized bed.
And he's an 85-pound dog. So
he really loves that bed.
He does love that bed. But back to Patreon. If you can support us on any level at all, we appreciate it so much. You help us make the show every week.
This is true.
It is a community that is just really great folks. And we are growing, and we love you all. No matter if you can spend $1 a month or $1,000 a month, which is actually a tier.
It really is.
I know it seems like we're kidding, but
no, it is
not
true.
a joke. It's
you
a real
get to
thing.
eat dinner with us.
Well, yeah,
you do.
And
nachos probably, because that's what we eat most of the time.
Sure, but it's a whole. We've thought a lot about these tiers. However,
it's not a joke.
However, no, it's not. It's not
really
a joke.
Not. In fact, one
if you
person,
give us $1,000, you're going to have dinner with us.
There is somebody who's going to be cashing out on this.
Exactly, so. but there are a variety of tiers that we always have our ears open. Mm-hmm. Are there things that we can offer?
Yeah.
For example, merchandise. We've gotten some feedback from folks lately saying merch would be really fun.
Man.
Yeah,
I would love
beanies
a beanie
or sweatpants or
yeah.
I don't know, whatever. I know what I'd like. I love a good baseball cap.
Me too.
And we can think about that as well. So we were thinking there may be a $20 level that because we don't currently have one. We have a 1, 5, 10, and then we kind of
$250.
We kind of go up to the big stuff, knowing that most people are not going to be able to pay for that, which is totally fine. It's slightly tongue in cheek, but
however helpful.
Again, serious. Yeah, right. However helpful.
If you can.
Right. But strength in numbers.
Yeah.
So if there are things that we can offer, we would love to know what tiers would make sense to you. Obviously, we have our own ideas.
Yeah.
But again, it's a cumulative.
What would you want for $20 a month? I mean, what would be worth that to you? I mean, do you want some like life advice, from, a couple seasoned ladies who feel fairly confident?
I can tell you what not to do. And I will continue to be like, here's what I did this week, so don't do that.
Or, I don't know, like anything. I haven't come up with all the ideas, but yeah, merch is a great idea. We'll walk your dog. I don't know. I mean,
we might.
You can walk her dog.
You could walk my dog. Yeah,
for
$20 a month, walk my dog.
Maybe not the best deal, but let us know on the community board on patreon.com/havesuchagoodday, or email us at hi@havesuchagoodday.com, or I don't know, find us on Twitter, DM us. Yeah, there's all kinds of ways that you can find us.
Heather and I have kicked around the idea of extending this show of ours to maybe a little bit more life advice stuff. And again, like, I mean, I say this with like such a big asterisk. Like, I am not a life coach.
Sure, we're not like certified.
I am the worst. I'm the stupidest person in the room always. However,
I think I'm pretty good.
And great for you.
Maybe
Heather.
not as good at my life advice for myself, but maybe for others, I'm pretty decent.
But I think the more of us that we feel comfortable talking to each other about the peaks and valleys, the troughs and the non-troughs.
You know what, Sarah? I actually think that you do give pretty good advice. I think you just, again, you don't give yourself good advice. I think it's the same thing. But when you give me advice, I think it's solid.
Yeah, I'm great
really
at giving
smart.
it. I'm just not great at taking it.
But that's okay, because
do as I say, not as I do. I mean, that's why that exists.
It is so true.
Because people have a hard time.
How did all those things, all those expressions are so smart, and these old humans came up with them back in the day. It's so fascinating. I love the origin stories of these.
So really quick, before we move on, we were talking about this on DTNS in our pre-show earlier today. The concept of a pregnant pause. Mm-hmm. We know what that means.
Sure.
What the fuck?
I know. Where did that come from?
What, like pregnant?
Like maybe
because it's like, oh, I'm pregnant, so I'm gonna pause like even hard, because it means a long pause.
Yeah, maybe.
So like, what is that?
Maybe it's like in between contractions, or like when you're like.
I think so.
I know, it is very strange.
So Tom Merritt, of course he knows everything. He was like, well, the word pregnant back in the day wasn't always about birthing a.
Why were you guys talking about that?
Because we just, I don't know. You hang out with someone every day. It's like you end up talking about really weird stuff. Yeah. But he was like, it used to mean something that was sort of like, it's something that you're looking forward to. Mm-hmm. That the future is uncertain. Yeah. It's a pregnant blah 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 is something that might last a little longer and have sort of a ramp up to what the eventual crescendo will be.
Maybe because pregnancy lasts 9 months.
Well, yeah. And so I think that that ended up being something that we all associate with. But still, isn't that weird?
It is weird.
Pregnant pause.
Yeah.
It means long pause. Why don't we just say long pause? I don't know.
Good. Very good point.
So Chris Hayes, who is a host on MSNBC, All In with Chris Hayes. I don't actually watch the show because I don't watch a lot of cable news because I want to keep my sanity.
Yes,
cable news is just the death of all humankind. Sorry, I know a lot of people work in it, and we used to work in cable news, but I don't watch a lot of it now. However, I do like Chris Hayes, and I follow him on Twitter. He tweeted earlier today. It was kind of funny. He said something along the lines of, and I don't actually have the tweet, or actually maybe I do, the tweet up in front of me, and he says, am I the only person who, I've officially become that guy where I think that all hip hop was best when I was 18 years old. Like no matter how old I get, like there's just that 1 year that was like better than everything.
Yeah.
And of course, a lot of people piled on like, well, that's crazy. What about Kendrick Lamar? What about Run the Jewels? Like, what about all these like really, really good hip hop acts that like you couldn't possibly, throw them by the wayside? And he's like, well, no, I mean, they're great, but it's that idea of there's a nostalgia thing. And I have it too. I mean, hip hop, I could think of hip hop or a hairstyle or the kind of clothes you wear. So, like, sometimes we sort of like, we hit this sort of like cliff and we're like, not jumping off the cliff. I'm just going to stay right here.
Actually,
this is
I
my
agree.
comfort level.
I have a great example. Someone just yesterday asked me, well, I had asked them first, who are your favorite DJs? And they responded with, frankly, a few people I had never heard of. And they were very like mainstream kind of EDM, like big DJs.
Like old school or like
new school.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, and I'm somewhat familiar with electronic music, but there's so many DJs, the ones that are in Vegas all the time that I'm not
like
really
DJ
into.
Pauly D.
Yeah, like Avicii and like
Well, he's dead.
Well, I know he is, but that was a terrible example.
But yes,
but
I know what you mean.
Like Travis,
it's DJs on the certain circuit.
Calvin Harris and those types.
Yeah.
And then he was like, well, what about you? And I was like, wow, that's a really good question. Cause I like electronic music. I'm exposed to it quite a bit. And I thought, that's a very good question. What are my favorite DJs? And I realized they were all from back in like the 80s and 90s, like Mixmaster Mike, DJ Shadow, Qbert, Dan the Automator. That's my jam.
Right. But like, I think that it doesn't even necessarily have to be somebody younger than you, but someone who's like, oh, so you're that,
I know.
that era,
Shit.
Because it does sound, it's like early 2000s.
It's an impressionable age.
Yeah.
Or I think there's something about certain ages where this is like it laid the foundation for you.
Well, and I got to thinking too about, so sure, our jumping off point was like hip hop. It's like, okay, well, in my circles, 1993 is sort of known as like the best year for hip hop, but like that's like a silly thing that people my age say.
Sure.
No one who's 18 years old and is like well versed in hip hop is ever going to say that. Well, I don't know, maybe a few of you, but probably not. But I think the same thing about indie music. Am I listening to a lot of it these days? No. But
me neither.
But I know that there was like a time period where I'm like, that was the, like
Modest
the
Mouse
golden days of indie.
Oh yeah, and I was
Interpol.
really into it. But I don't really listen to a lot of that kind of music. I mean, I love Interpol still, but a lot of that music I don't. It's funny. It was kind of an era thing.
Yeah.
Because where is indie rock now? There isn't as much of it. It's not as much of a.
Well, and then it gets into like a funny, you're talking sort of about like personal style and fashion and like, okay, everybody knows what I mean when I say, well, she just had like a really dated look, right? Like, okay, without seeing whoever I'm talking about or he, right? It could be any gender. You kind of know what I mean. So what made that person just kind of, this is it.
Yeah.
I'm not evolving anymore. And so other people will say I'm dated, but like, this is just my look.
Yeah, totally.
This is my hairstyle.
Yep.
These are my jeans. This is kind of where I'm
This is
comfortable.
me.
And I'm
So
not
deal with
deviating from it.
Yeah.
I like to think I'm not there yet, but
I don't think so. I mean, I think certain days that we look cuter than other days, and I'm not pointing fingers.
Also, being dated might be very cute. Just
true.
a dated cute.
You're right. Oh,
Yeah.
God, I hope you would tell me
You're
right.
you're a 1995 cute chick.
I know. Well, you would tell me right.
I would.
Well, the thing is I did get someone to
think I
help me.
would.
I know. I think you would. I don't know. You're not very confrontational. But I did have my neighbor help me with my wardrobe, and I went through everything, and I really think I got rid of the dated stuff. So. Anyway, speaking of our youth,
Yes.
this is crazy. This is actually something that it's funny. I think I walked out of my office to make coffee and a smoothie this morning when this came on at NPR, because when I got back to my office, my friend Abby Kavanaugh, who she was like,
hello,
did
Abs.
you hear that on NPR, this article? So I just want to shout out to her. She's the one that brought it to my attention. That young people aren't having a lot of sex.
What in the
I
heck?
thought that was kind of fascinating.
I like how you preface this with like, so speaking of our youth, you know all that sex we had? Young people
They're not
doing
having it. They're not having it.
What?
Well, yeah. So there's
what's wrong with y'all?
Isn't that crazy? So
what are you doing?
there's a woman who did a whole very massively long article on Atlantic. You know, those articles are very long if you want to read it. And
on the Atlantic.
On the Atlantic, yeah. Is that what I said? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. So basically, they're having sex less frequent sex. There's a lot of people in their 20s that are actually celibate, and so they're racking up fewer like partners.
Okay.
You know, and it's funny because the argument is like, well, there's Tinder and there's, you know, Hinge, and what's the one where it's like totally hook up. Great, you know, online dating sites. Like you can easily, it's like
there's an online dating site for everybody.
For pretty much everybody.
Yes.
And so,
and dating that's a very loose term. Like sometimes it is a hookup.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a relationship.
Oh,
sometimes
totally.
It's neither. You know,
it takes all kinds.
All of those things are happening constantly.
But like most people are finding their partners online these days. You know, there's still some stories that you hear that someone met in an elevator or something like that. But so, you know, it's interesting what a lot of this online dating and, you know, social media has caused, which I think this is fascinating, like psychologically, is people have, in this study, she found that people are less confident to strike up a conversation in a bar or in person. And it's kind of true. Like I've kind of noticed that where people are a little more like they don't give eye contact. They're buried in their phones. There's this sort of lack of confidence, you know, but we remember like when we would go to bars and hang out back in the day, we were all very social, and there was a different vibe back then when we weren't all buried in our phones. So I think it's an interesting, it makes sense though, because people are getting so comfortable with the digital world. Apparently porn is on the rise. I mean, it's even more so than ever because, you know, people have sex less because they can masturbate at home and they can look at porn and you know, that kind of thing. It's all easier. Like, it's a lot easier. Yeah. You don't have to deal with the emotional intimacy, which again, this part fascinated me so much that she was saying that there is a general, you know, a lot of this study has found that people are getting more elusive about intimacy in general, physical and emotional, that they're uncomfortable being naked, which is, you know, they said something about like gyms in schools, like young people, you know, back in the day, it was just like you would be sort of naked and take a shower after gym class. But now they just wear their underwear or they're under a towel. And so you're not really used to it. So maybe it's more taboo and it's more like sort of.
Well, it's funny because Heather and I were kind of talking about this before the show. And I was like, I mean, nobody got naked in my PE class in high school.
I remember.
I mean, you'd see sometimes like a girl like in a bra or whatever, you know, and so like the rest of us are sort of like, you know, just taking stock of like whether it's a big boob or a small boob, but like we were not getting naked and showering. No, we were. Nobody was confident enough for that. Never. Yeah. Which is kind of disgusting if you think about it, because it's like we're like running, you know, like.
It is gross.
Around like a track, like, and then just like going back to school.
Rest of the day.
Yeah. But no, we were not.
It's funny when you're
nobody
a kid,
was going to shower naked with each other.
I think it's different when you get sweaty and stuff as a kid. It doesn't bother you as much, but when you're an adult, it's a little different. I mean,
as a teenager, you know, your hormones are raging.
That's
like
true.
You want to be clean.
Yeah, of course.
But I didn't want to be naked in front of anybody. I would never have done such a thing at school.
That's true. So, but don't you think that social media, like especially, has probably made people feel less comfortable with their bodies? Because think about it. So many people
because everybody, like, someone's always going to be taller, prettier,
for sure,
richer, all the things.
And same with, you know, I think a lot of, you know, the online stuff, it's like if you're not kind of good looking or you have like some good photographs, you might be misjudged. Like maybe you have like the most kick-ass personality, you're super funny, you're super smart. That doesn't really come across in dating apps.
Yeah, that's something that somebody has to like get to know, but everyone has 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so it's a very judge a book by its cover type
really
thing.
Is.
And I am very guilty of that. In fact, there have definitely in the past, you know, using dating apps, it's like there have definitely been people where I'm like, didn't like that bio. And so they're just trash,
Yeah.
you know? But they might have been really, really great. I just like was in a mood at
Sure.
that very moment and I just didn't like the sentence.
Yeah, you know, it's funny.
You know?
Like, I'll sometimes come across something where I'm like, it's not that, whatever, maybe a little old or whatever, but then they have a great bio where they're funny, like someone recently, or something that I thought was funny, said, I can get reservations at Dorsia, which I thought was like sort of the way to my heart. Do you know what that is? It's
I assume it's like a fancy restaurant.
Well, it's from American Psycho. So it's always, do you remember that? So he basically, like, Dorsia was the restaurant you couldn't get into. And he was always talking about Dorsia in the movie and the book. It's fucking hilarious. Anyway, I digress.
Heather liked it more than I did.
I did. I really,
one of my least
I liked
favorite
the movie.
movies.
In fact, I loved the movie, but I read most of the book, but the book was there, obviously very graphic moments. I couldn't even get through some of those chapters. It was so graphic and horrifying. So, anyway, I wanted to ask you, Sarah. So
Yes.
if you were to meet, I don't know, the love of your life, a love of your life, whatever you believe, a wonderful love of your life, a soulmate, in person, in real life, IRL, where would you choose to run into this person?
So are we talking like what city or
No,
like
I don't know.
just
I mean,
like
whatever.
am I at a laundromat or just like
Yeah.
what is my ideal type
Yeah.
thing?
Anything.
Okay, well,
It could be under the Eiffel Tower if that's
sure, yeah, of
if
course.
you want to be hokey.
Sure. Well, under the Eiffel Tower is actually kind of annoying. There's kids and
Yeah.
crowds and the whole thing. But I think that especially since we were talking about online dating, and I have met people that I've dated for like years at a time online. So I've got nothing bad to say about that. And I hope that a lot of the stigma that a lot of people had towards that is
stigma.
Yeah, it's
sure.
I don't have it at all. However, that is a purposeful thing. So sure, in my fairy tale version of life, would I meet somebody purposefully and, swipe right and we'd go get a drink? No, I would meet him at Blue Bottle Coffee in the morning and I'd be all disheveled, but like my beauty would radiate so much,
totally.
like through like how awful I looked at the time. And probably Otis the dog wouldn't hurt, that he'd just be like, wow, like just like I've got to see you again type thing. So I think actually the fantasy is that like somebody is so finds me so radiating, even though I don't look good.
I know. See, I love that too.
Because then it's like, I didn't even try. This was meant to be.
Yeah, like I think it was like 2 days ago, I ran out of like almond milk or something. I wanted to make a smoothie. And I our local market opens at 7 a.m. So I knew in the morning I got to go straight down there. I think I needed half and half too, something.
Right.
And so I went down there. Literally, I think I had like literally a pajama top that's like a button down PJ thing sticking out of my sweatshirt. Like I literally rolled out of bed and went down there. So yeah, maybe for me it would be like in the produce aisle of, Trader Joe's or whatever market I'm shopping at, would be kind of sexy. Or like a farmer's market would be kind of cool. Like you're kind of, just always cute guys at farmer's markets. I don't know.
Are there?
Or like an elevator. I actually like this. Someone was saying they met their honey in an elevator and I thought, how did that happen? Like, how did that play out? I would want to know.
See, I always feel like anytime I'm in an elevator, somebody's trying really hard not to toot.
Everyone's squeezing their butt cheeks.
I don't like elevators very much.
Yeah,
it's
I don't
just
either.
too enclosed for me. So it's like meeting the love of your life in there and they might be tooting. It's just too much.
I know. And talk about like the closeness of like it's so awkward and.
Yeah. But I get why somebody would find that to be a fantasy. Yeah. I don't know that it's so much about where it would be. It'd be more that if I put in zero effort.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. The reality is putting in zero effort ensures that I will die alone. But I like to think that, the right guy will actually be like, no, you're the most beautiful creature on the planet.
They will see your beauty radiate
in your
from
pajamas. Yeah. And like maybe a little crust in your eye.
Definitely some crust in your eye. Well, you know, if I met someone in, let's just say, okay, this elevator scenario, let's say it was just me and this super hot, smart, hilarious guy, just him and me in the elevator, and we're going up to 100 floors. And then we start really making out in the elevator, and it's it ends up being this wonderful, sensual experience in the elevator. Sure, that's great. But that only happens in movies.
Probably happens in real life, but
very occasionally.
But yeah, you probably don't want to be let's make out with that many randos in an elevator, because you're gonna get some weird looks.
Oh, definitely. But there would be nobody else in the elevator but him and me. The universe made it so. Anyway,
well, all right. So young people aren't having sex. Heather will have sex in an elevator soon, and I hopefully will meet Prince Charming
online
at the coffee shop.
Oh, that too.
Tomorrow or online. Yeah. Either way. Yeah.
It's cool. It's cool. No judgment.
Right swipe me.
All right. And one more quick thing. Don't forget to write an iTunes review. Each one warms our hearts to beyond, you have no idea. And if you want to, no, you just have no idea. I read one of these iTunes reviews and I'll get up and I'll check and I'll refresh and I'm like, oh my God, we have 20. Oh my God, we have 21. I always tell Sarah, I'm like, oh my God, we got 5 more reviews. She's like, really? So it's like Christmas. It's like I wake up in the morning and it's a little present under the tree. So thank you for that. Also, if you want to check our website out, what is our website, Sarah?
HaveSuchAGoodDay.com. I know, it's crazy. Wouldn't think it would be there.
I don't know why we came up with that.
If anybody is not a patron, or you are looking to easily share the show with a friend or a colleague or a frenemy, whatever, your mom or dad, I don't know. Whoever might
the bodega guy.
The bodega guy,
gal,
our witty banter, whatever. HaveSuchAGoodDay.com is the easiest way to find all the links to all of the relevant stuff that we are doing.
And we have bios on there. We asked each other little interview questions.
True story.
It's very cute. And we have photographs.
All of that.
Check it out.
Photographs too. Yeah. And we'll be continuing to do some behind the scenes, aka BTS stuff for everybody. So thanks for everybody for hanging out with us.
Watching and listening.
Episode 19.
What in the heck? In the can, almost.
We're almost at number 20. And for anybody who's at the $5 or more per month Patreon level, we've got a bonus topic coming up in just a few. Quick reminder, if you were to take 3 things with you to a deserted island, what would they be? Heather and I will be answering that shortly. For everyone else, we will see you next week. I'm Sarah.
I'm Heather.
And have such a good day.
Bye.